get my 6. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. And whatever the heck this channel is about, no, it's not about Santa Claus is enjoying his off season. I know, I hear what you're saying back there behind your screen. Like, gee, Crazy Lake, you're really rocking the Hemingway, but you're starting to look like Santa Claus. What's up? Well, what's up right now is we're just going to walk the perimeter here at sunset, where I've got potentially some cameras set out that have potentially captured some odd things lately. And I haven't told you a good and proper ghost story lately, so I'm going to tell you one this evening as we walk the property lines here and see what we may or may not see. You continue to look behind me to see what may or may not show up here this evening. So, I was in town yesterday. Reminded once again why I live in the country. But I was in town yesterday. We were going by to see our CPA, drop off all the tax stuff. And my CPA, wonderful guy, great guy, has a law degree from Harvard, but you'd never know it because he's salt of the earth type people. He'd fit in well out here with maybe a chainsaw and an axe helping me split wood. But he's located in like the most historic part of town. And I'm just gonna say it. I didn't know this, but when we left his office, there was like some sort of a history marker there that said that corner, which was across from the courthouse in Court Square, they call it Courtyard Square, I think, or something. The actual corner where his office sits was the actual auction block where human beings were bought and sold and traded back during the days of slavery. Right there. And I was like, oh my God, whoa. Wow. I thought, man, if my CPA wasn't awesome, I feel like I should like use a different CPA, but whatever. It was just a very odd feeling to come over me to know that I was standing right there. You talk about ghosts. Anyway, so we did that, and then we were walking around checking out some of the other stuff. It was really neat to read the plaques on the buildings that said, this was the original library from 1812, I think. Charlottesville was founded in 1762 or 64, something like that. Yeah, 1760 is something. So some of these buildings are really old. So we found like the county and city like historical society. They have like a small museum type area in there with and I've never been in there. So we walked in there and we were looking at some of the displays and talking to the wonderful people that worked in there. There was only a couple. There was a beautiful young lady, probably 75 years old, who volunteers there. And then there was a wonderful gentleman who was a genealogist, who's, gosh, the jobs these folks do. I'm just looking around for weird stuff, see if I see anything out of place. You keep looking behind me too. He was showing me his job, like he had all these files, like he was doing going through 1,000 files to do more genealogical historical work for like all these people from, I don't know, it's like he's got to enter it into some system somewhere, and when people do these genealogy things, when they try to find out what happened in their family's past, anytime any genealogist discovers anything new about somebody, it goes into that system. So if you go back and re-pull it, you get that updated information, or if anybody is getting it for the first time, they're getting every known and entered piece of information. Thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye back here. So I'm going to settle down right in here and tell you this story. I promised you a ghost story, a good and proper ghost story. And you're all probably like, when you get into the ghost story part, well, I'm getting to it right now. I'm just hoping they're not in here getting to me. You know what I'm saying? Don't want to be blocking them with my hand. So, this genealogist guy, this historian, genealogist and a historian, I believe he is, was telling me that, like, when Charlottesville was a new town, for those, a lot of you have been here, some of you watch and live here, and it's neat. Like, once a month, somebody will comment on a video if I mention Charlottesville, if I'm wearing a UVA hat, and they'll say how they went to college there in the 80s or the 90s. That was strange. That looked like that thing was going to start running at us. Get my six. And that means watch behind me for those of you who are new. It's military jargon. But folks will say, oh, I lived there in the 80s or 90s. I went to college there. Gosh, I love it there. I wish I could go back. I hear a howl. So that courtyard square where all these buildings were, where I was yesterday, basically that was the original city limits. I mean, it was like the town was the size of a football field back in the 1760s. And now it's a massive, sprawling behemoth. I think population's something like 40,000. I mean, that's not big compared to like a real big city, but you couldn't fit that many people on a football field. It's grown eerily silent. Even the birds have stopped. For they know even that we've now come to the time to tell the ghost story. There was a picture, an old painting in that historical building yesterday where I was. And the painting depicted a man, an older man, probably early 60s. And he was beside a table. There were piles of money on the table. It was coins. It was an old time, like 1700s, late 1700s. And you could tell the room was being lit by a candle. And he had like a rifle in the corner and a Derringer on a shelf. And he was looking as if, you know, again, it's a painting, but imagine if it was a photograph. It's as if he would been looking at the camera like this. You could see terror on his face, and it's like he was halfway trying to protect his money, and he was halfway getting ready to run. So I asked the gentleman working there, I said, the painting looked creepy. It looked like the kind of thing you'd see hanging in a haunted house. Or like if you went to a haunted house on Halloween, like they have at Busch Gardens, Hallow Scream, which Fam and I were fortunate enough to be able to make it to that this past Halloween. We were just talking about that earlier in the truck on the way home, and how much fun it was and how much we want to go back. But you know, one of those displays or exhibits, you're going through the haunted house, and here's this picture, this old guy trying to guard his money but also knows he should run. Looked just like that. So I asked the guy, what's the significance of this painting? And he told me, he said, you know, that actually is a painting of someone who was a resident of the city back in the late 1700s, 1800s, one of the first people to live in the city. And they had forgotten his name. His name has been lost to time, the guy was telling me. But the man was known for being a miser. He was like an Ebenezer Scrooge, skinflint, tightwad. And they said the picture depicted him counting his money, but he was afraid somebody was going to steal it. Looked like somebody was coming into his house, and the guy was afraid that he was going to steal his money. So he said he was trying to guard the money while turning to go to the corner to get the gun. Well, that didn't sound right to me. It just didn't register, because now the artist, and that's part of the story. It's as if the artist intentionally tried to depict the emotion of terror in the subject's eyes, because that's what I saw. So I got closer to the picture to get a closer look. I want to make sure we're getting stuff from back here too. Let's see if we get anything back here. So I got close and I started looking at smaller detail. Off to the right, the old miser with his money was just left of center as you would face it. And just off to the right, there was a door going into a back room. And I looked into the back room, and the artist had actually painted a back window that was open, and there was a cat jumping out of the window as if the cat were terrified, and the cat was trying to get out. And I said to the guy, I said, well, what about this cat back here? What's the cat doing? And he goes up there and he goes, I never noticed the cat before, because it was very small detail. And he's looking and he goes, I don't know. Looks like the cat's jumping out the window. I said, I think so too. I said, I don't think this picture means what you folks think it means. I said, there's like a paranormal / supernatural thing going on here. That man's terrified, and they're like, he wants to guard his money, but you can tell he wants to run as well. And he was like, huh. He's looking at it, and you can see he's starting to see it through different eyes. And I asked him, I said, whatever happened to this citizen, this old miser? And he said he left town. No one knew why, but the strange thing about it was that he left his money behind. Didn't take it with him. And I said, well, doesn't that seem kind of strange? Why would someone do that? And he said, well, I don't know, and I wouldn't know. Like I said, nobody can even remember the person's name. The story's probably changed, and that's probably true over 200 plus years. The story's changed 250 years now, 60 years, 260. I said, well, what about the artist? And the answer was no. No one could ask the artist after the picture was finalized what it meant, because shortly after the picture was finished and before the artist even displayed the picture publicly or let it be known publicly that the picture was complete, the artist died under circumstances that were never understood. And I just heard a tree knock. And I just think that adds up to more than that was just a picture of the local miser. Loves his money so much, he keeps, multiple firearms there to guard it, but he leaves it behind when he takes off for no reason in old age. And then the artist who painted the picture before the picture was ever even made public died under unknown circumstances. Tree knocking a how. Hey, I know there were human beings living here 14,000 years ago. The Monacan Indian Nation had this area before the European settlers, the English, came this far west from Jamestown. Who knows how much has happened where any of us living, everybody watching this video, you think you know the history of your community. Oh yeah, the town was founded 100 years ago. Well, what about before that? Well, I don't know. Most people don't. And a lot of folks went on to the other side under circumstances they might not have been too happy with, and a lot of that energy may still remain just about anywhere. So it's getting dark here. I'd better wrap this up and go in the house. Hope you enjoyed this tale. If so, see you for more next time.